imagine you have like a full battery that you wake up with every single day. Everything you do, think, believe, anything that requires energy obviously takes from that battery. So actually moving your life forward isn't so much about how am I going to move my life forward? What's my next move? What's my strategy? Like blah, blah, blah. Because that's not a very new paradigm. It's much more about like, okay, where am I like basically spending my energy on things like the shoulds and the have tos?
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsey Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go.
Hello, guys.
Hello.
Welcome back. Let's just take a breath.
Oh, I took...
Let him take a fucking
Sorry. I was going to say I took the best deep breath this morning.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
You feel like in a different part of your body.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You feel like your little thing dropped down and it like opens up and you're like...
My little penis?
Yes. No, what is that little thing?
I know what you mean, the diaphragm.
Yeah, you feel it just open.
The bottom of your lungs, that like feeling of just a little more space.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Yeah.
I've been sighing a lot lately.
I caught it on film the other day.
I know. I was doing an acupuncture form. I'm going to an acupuncturist, Golden Needle, LA. Tell her I sent you. But in the form, it says, have you, like as a symptom, sighing a lot? I'm like, what does that mean?
I know what that feels like.
But what is it? I wonder what is making me sigh so much.
Sometimes when I can't catch a full breath.
Good.
But when I can't catch a full breath, I'll just over exaggerate and I'll just be like,
yeah.
You know?
I Googled sighing a lot, depression, sighing a lot, pregnancy, sighing a lot, anxiety. LOL. Sigh.
That's so weird.
Oh my God. Sigh syndrome, which involves irrepressible, persistent sighing, may be stressful.
Oh, get off of WebMD, honey.
The average person. Wow. Fuck.
How many sighs do you do in a day? Probably 150.
Yeah, probably 8.
I'll talk to Justin. We'll put our numbers together.
Whenever I sigh, he always goes, it's so funny.
How fun is it? Like all your weird quirks, like for someone so close to you and who loves you so much to kind of just like, it almost like they don't even see them anymore.
Totally.
Sighing, like whatever it is.
Just leave it to Peebers. Something I noticed about him in the shower is he always does a figure 8. He does like
the body figure.
Yeah, he goes step right, step left, switch back.
Oh,
it's almost like
she's doing it right now.
It's almost like a salsa in the shower, and he does like a little loop. It's so cute.
That is so cute.
I know, it's so cute.
Wow.
So last week I posted a selfie. I was like, I need to like spice things up. I'm a little thirsty, so I posted a selfie, and some dude from my high school was fucking hilarious.
What did he say?
Literally, everyone's like, "Goddess queen, you look so great." Most people are like talking about my lips, which are pretty popping in this pic. All he writes is too much. Oh,
but maybe he just meant like what we would say.
Like no. He definitely didn't mean.
He means like too much. Sit down.
Yeah, like actually too much. You're freaking me out. Hilarious. I was like, dude, I live for this comment right now, actually. Thanks for keeping it true.
I love when people
no
like
one write anything fucking negative on my Instagram.
Yeah, I love when people bring you not down, but like down to earth. You're just
100%.
you're like, actually, when I post it, because there are so many posts where I'm just like, I mean what I say, but I'm also like, you're a loser a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Where I'm like, no. Like meaning like, I'll post something and I know what I'm saying and I believe what I'm saying.
I know exactly.
But then I'm also like, there's a side of me that's like, this is so weird.
Totally. I know exactly what you mean.
You know?
Yes.
It's like, it's crazy. And then I just want to write like, this is so weird. But then like,
yeah, and just be like,
people won't get
weird.
it. Yeah.
I know. I just thought that was so funny. I was like, yeah, man.
That is hilarious.
It's the best. It's Ohio, baby.
I mean, truly.
It's Ohio, baby.
Truly.
What's up with you guys right now?
I know. I need to we need to take the pulse.
Yeah, we need to take a pulse. I'm chatting a lot in the group, trying to check in more with y'all. But it's been crazy.
It's been really, really crazy. When I was hanging out with Chloe and Kayla in the car the other day, the little nuggets. But anyway, we were in dead stop traffic, and sometimes I just sit there and I'm on my phone, like if we're not moving or whatever. And I literally, without even thinking, because I would never do this if someone was in the car with me, but clearly I was not really present. And like I went onto Instagram, I went directly to check on the ex-boyfriend's wedding.
With them there?
Yeah.
Did they call you out?
No. And then I looked at it. Well, they didn't see what I was doing. And then I looked at the pictures and I'm being completely fucking honest. I felt very joyful for him.
For sure.
Well, not for sure. Because to be honest, it could easily go the other way where I'm just a little sad. But I felt complete joy. Anyway, a lot of people have been reaching out to me about the solo ep and whatever. And I just I think there is some healing and work that I needed to do in order to get to that place. And it's actually feels really good to be happy for someone who used to be someone in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
It just feels better than being upset or sad or mad.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just like a moment where I was like, whoa, I didn't expect to feel that way. And it feels really good to be happy for them and feel joy. And that's it.
Love that.
Anyway.
You're like, oh, that dress is boring.
No, it was cute. She's just 3 times smaller than me.
She's a waif.
She's very small. She's a great body. Anyway.
Enjoy that body. But I feel that. I want to do that, actually. Everybody that I've had a beef with, just send them love right now.
Yeah. It just feels better, but you don't know it feels better until you do it.
100%.
So I was like, it felt much better. So anyway, things are rolling. We're about to go into hibernation, as we mentioned on the previous podcast, just to get really creative. And we'll be sharing with you kind of ways in which we've been getting creative and just creating space and getting quiet and slowing down so that like more inspiration comes in. It's exciting because I've never really actively or consciously carved out time like that.
Yeah, I agree. So that's what's going on. And we're working on something really exciting that we will be sharing soon. So keep your eyes peeled.
I love a good cliffhanger.
Yeah. So stay tuned.
What's going
on this week?
What is going on?
Who do we got?
This week, we got Jenna Zoe. People are going to freak out.
My little, I want to squeeze her arms off.
I know, because we could.
I know, literally. Every time I see her, I just want to squeeze her arms so hard and just love her. She is my girl. I just feel so at home when I'm with her. I feel like she's a friend from forever. I feel comfortable with her. I feel inspired by her. I feel excited to know her. And she really made an impact on our lives when we had the first episode with her on the podcast previously. So we talked about human design with her. We got our human design readings read, which was really exciting. And then this episode, we're going to kind of dig a little bit deeper into human design. So if you haven't heard of human design, I can explain it. So we'll have Jenna explain it to you. But it's a practice or a ancient knowledge, I guess, of understanding that's really changed me.
Yeah, absolutely. We met someone in Dallas who had listened to her first episode.
Oh yeah,
and she listened to it recently, I guess, and it was as if because she just felt kind of lost and not knowing what to do. And she has gifts and didn't really know how to process them. And human design spoke to her like so clearly, and she's been studying and practicing ever since, and it's her true calling. And so like Jenna opened that up for her. But what I love about Jenna is that, you know, she's so grounded and confident but, you know, describes your chart and goes into human design in a way that doesn't give me anxiety, I guess. Like she's able to kind of peel back what everything means and how we can process it and kind of use it to just up level and like feel more at home in our bodies and in the world and where we are in our lives. So I just love her. She walks the walk. So enjoy this episode. We always appreciate when you rate and review on iTunes, subscribe, and, you know, you can gift episodes to friends who might be going through something. That's always really, really amazing to see on social media. You'll tag us and, or you'll tell us in person. It means the world, that these episodes are resonating. So thank you in advance and join our secret Facebook group.
Yeah. Love y'all.
Love you. This episode is brought to you by Kopari Beauty, empowered by the coconuts. So I have, now the count is at 5 Kopari coconut deodorants throughout my everyday.
It's like everywhere I turn, I have one. I have one in my car, in my car console. I have one in the bathroom. Justin uses it now.
Okay.
I know. Justin using natural deodorant. It's pure laziness. He like really just doesn't want to buy new deodorant. Makes me so happy though.
Well, I also carry one of the mini ones that we had in our events recently, just to give people, because I want them to know.
Totally.
I need you to know how amazing this beautiful push deodorant is.
I enjoy putting it on.
It's so good. So there's no aluminum, no baking soda, no parabens, no silicone, no phthalates, nothing. None of that. It's made with 100% organic coconut oil. It's pure. It's smooth. It's cooling.
It just feels so good. It does feel good. And like, I love the smell. I like reapplying it if I need. It's fresh.
And the smell is actually the best. Yeah. Actually the best. We've tried a lot of deodorants and it is so delish. And they have, obviously, if you guys know Kopari, all of their products. We love the coconut oil for your body. The face cream is actually amazing. They just have so many. Rose toner. Just go to the site. I would peruse koparibeauty.com and you can use our code almost30 for 15% off. We love this brand. We had Gigi, one of the founders on the podcast.
Really
check that interview out. But koparibeauty.com and the code is almost30 for 15% off. This episode is also brought to you by Skinny Dipped Almonds.
A favorite healthy snack.
Truly, on
healthy
tour.
Treat snack.
We usually crave at the end of a long day on tour, a beautiful, fulfilling long day. I need a little sweet.
And it's the perfect salty sweet. I'm a salty sweet girl. And what I love about Skinny Dipped is that although it's covered in like this natural cacao, dusty, thin layer of chocolate, it has the almonds in there too. So it's not a blood sugar spike. You don't feel like crap afterwards, and you feel satiated because of the fiber in the almonds.
Yeah, the fiber is key. The protein, it kind of has all you need. I usually have a few before a workout, but yeah, it's so good. So they have different flavors out now, tastes out now. So it's the cacao, espresso, raspberry, peanut butter is my favorite.
Peanut butter always.
And now they have a Greek yogurt covered for kind of like 'tis the season. It's like an orange cranberry, and then they have a pumpkin spice.
So good. I love the pumpkin spice.
So if you can have dairy, those are really, really good. I just love this brand. Their story is amazing. It is a women-owned company, which we love, and we're going to be talking to them soon. So stay tuned for that. We always love a founder story. You know, I know you guys are always looking for expanders as you start your own businesses and follow your dreams. So skinnydipped.com. You can use our code almost30, ALMOST30 for 20% off your first order. I would buy in bulk.
Buy in bulk, guys. You're going to eat it all. Enjoy. All right.
Check 1, 2.
Check 1, 2. Someone in the group said, can we get Chloe Leonard on the podcast? Don't get a big head.
Yes, we can. When she's being good. Chloe's our...
No free promo.
I feel like we talked
trying to
about
find the questions for human design for our lovely
sweet
one.
People have questions. Oh, I have no idea.
Jenna's back. Jenna's back. It's been, what did you say? 18 months. Are you for real?
Yeah.
No. What has changed in your life? So much, I feel like.
Well, when I first came on the podcast with you guys, firstly, that was my first podcast.
How are we
ever.
connected?
Through Erica.
Wow. Kimmick?
Yeah.
Angel baby.
Angel.
And I listen to all the episodes now, so I know that she connects you with like so many other people. She's fast.
I trust her.
Mm-hmm,
she's amazing. But it was,
how did you guys connect?
I did a reading for her.
Oh.
Yeah. I did a
and then you
reading
did
for
Sarah
her.
Carter.
Yeah. And someone else in that organization. I forget who.
Maybe Heather or Timmy.
Maybe.
Or maybe their little intern. I forget what her name is. Or like someone else on their team.
Yeah. And then remember it was so funny because I was like, you reached out to me and was like, let's go for dinner. And I was like, why does someone want to go for dinner with me?
I can't believe I said that too, actually. That seems very unlike me.
I think it's so like you though.
You're so good about like, let's
agree.
take a walk, let's go to dinner, let's grab a tea or something.
But our dinner ended up being like 3 hours.
Literally plant, food and wine.
We were plant, food and wine. So it was 3
And
hours.
we bumped into you.
And we bumped into me with my parents.
Your parents.
That was so weird.
It was like on purpose 3 hours, but also like
it was
the
like
service.
dating.
The service at Plant Food and
The service
Wine.
at Plant is
special.
Is questionable.
I haven't been back since.
It's so good.
Yeah,
it's
really
weird.
good.
I live so close, but I never go there.
Well, it's kind of a special
occasion.
It's not like an everyday type of pop-in place.
I fucking love their food.
Yeah.
So then we went, and then you did my reading.
No, we did your reading on the podcast. Yeah.
Which I re-listened to the other day.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's been so helpful for us as like business partners, as friends. It's been helpful for me like with other people in my life.
Really? Do you look other people up now?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I love that.
Especially my family because I'm going to be with them forever, you know? So it's more just like, how do I navigate
what are
this? My sister Cameron is a projector, actually, which was interesting. Actually, and I haven't done Dylan. Dylan would be a great one to do.
He could be a manifester. You know?
Yeah, you're probably right. But it's just been such a helpful tool. So I know most people have probably listened to your episode, but I do kind of, for anyone new joining the podcast, definitely go back to our first episode with Jenna. But can you introduce yourself and just kind of explain what human design is?
So the technical definition of it is that it's a combination of the astrology, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, and the chakra system. But that doesn't really say much about it. So the way I like to think about it, when you're looking at a chart, it's basically like your aura, your energetic body. And so what your human design chart tells you is like that we each have a different software, let's say, like it's a different energetic body. And when you learn to use yours properly to exchange energy with the world around you, then you're going to experience way more flow, right? So instead of kind of pushing against what you've already been given the day you were born, the things you're naturally good at, why would you not live in that lane where you're using all of that stuff and not using any of the stuff that the world has like told you that you have to use if you don't have it to use? It's kind of like pushing your foot on the gas when there's nothing in the tank. It's like you're just going to keep on trying to push and force and cultivate stuff that you weren't really supposed to be doing. So it's just about kind of like, where is there flow in your life? What are you supposed to be kind of like leading with and enhancing versus what are you just supposed to be like, that's not me, that's not my thing, I don't do that. That's, instead of doing kind of what we're all conditioned towards, which is like homogeny, right? Like we all have to be the same. We all have to do the same things to be loved, to be successful, to be this. Like even all the languaging of, even self-help is like, if you do this morning routine, then you'll crush your day or whatever. And it's like, actually, some people need to be inconsistent and that's how they become more successful. So it's just a really unique blueprint of how you're supposed to be using your energy.
I love that. And when were you first like introduced to it?
4 years ago by a shaman.
Wow.
Yeah, who did my chart. And I was like, this is like so cool. I need to know everything about how this works. And then that's how I just started like reading all the books and reading about it online and everything. And then I did a chart for my friend Dara, who is an intuitive. And she said,
she's an intuitive.
And I said to her, she said to me, you need to be doing this. And I was like, my conditioning was that, you can only be successful if you have like a business, like a physical, like selling a service or like a product, because that's what basically all my family have done. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be like, I had no aspiration to be in this space, anything at all. I was like, no, I couldn't do that. Like, what would I do? Just do readings of people all day? Like, what for, you know? So it took me basically like deconditioning my whole, which is funny, right? I had to decondition myself to get to where I am now, which is about being a human design reader. And that's all about deconditioning other people. So yeah, it was really fascinating.
How did you, I guess, so for a lot of our listeners, they could be working on deconditioning themselves to take on their own business. How did you do that?
So with my deconditioning, I basically saw that there's nothing inside my being a projector. For example, is like just one aspect of my chart. Being a projector means that actually you're not supposed to be doing more than 3 hours of like work every single day. So even the fact that I was working like 14-hour days and also valuing that in myself and thinking that that meant I was going to get really far meant that I only had like very limited success with my old business because I was not using my energy the way that I was supposed to be using it. And then things like my business was very sort of product focused. Whereas for me, the way I'm supposed to be exchanging my gifts in the world is with people, right? It's much more of a personal, like a one-on-one thing. So even that, like I wasn't doing correctly, but I was thinking, oh, it's the slog and it's like doing everything yourself and it's this and I'm crushing it and it's like hard work and, you know, so every little aspect of your chart tells you something different and then you know how to like apply it. And then you basically look at where else you've been told that something else was good for you and you go, hold on a second. Like I usually say to people like awareness is the great healer because you don't have to do anything about it. You just have to go, oh, that isn't me. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's already 80% of the work because then actually putting it into place is the 20, but just the realization that like, oh, that's how I'm built. Okay. I can be open to that. Or
I'm thinking of how much brain space that those thoughts take up in my head every day about how I should be more like someone else and do it like them. It takes up a lot of brain space for me. So because I respect so many people and the way they do things and how efficiently they do it or the way in which they do it. And I think it's better. And I'm just like spending a lot of energy trying to figure out like how I can be more like that when, you know, I could be using like what my gifts are.
Yeah. So the concept, in terms of using your energy body is that exactly what you're saying. So imagine you have like a full battery that you wake up with every single day. Everything you do, think, believe, everything that kind of like anything that requires energy obviously takes from that battery. So actually moving your life forward isn't so much about how am I going to move my life forward? What's my next move? What's my strategy? Like blah, blah, blah. Because that's not a very new paradigm. It's much more about like, okay, where am I like basically spending my energy on things like the shoulds and the have tos and I need to be more like this and there's something wrong with me and there's self-flagellation because that's basically like shitting in your aura and therefore the universe hasn't really got space to come in and help you. So the hardest work is actually what you're saying, which is like just creating time and space where you used to be like holding yourself back by these like shoulds and have tos and confusion about who you are.
Shitting in my aura.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry. That's no.
That's actually. I'll never forget that.
So it's interesting. And the cool thing is like it's never a linear thing. So like everybody still shits in their aura until the day they die. But hopefully you just like shit less.
Yeah. Totally.
And less every day.
How do you use human design with like astrology and all the other things? Like how do they compare or like how should people use these tools?
So human design doesn't really tell you, for example, like how many kids you're going to have or where you're going to be soon and that kind of stuff. When I've done readings for people, they've said to me like, oh, they've said this in my astrology chart or like I've been told this stuff before because human design does take into account astrology. But with human design, it's more practical in the sense of how you show up in the day and you go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it gives you like that blueprint of like, this is your computer software. Use your computer software. If I'm trying to install like a PC software and you're a Mac, it's not going to work. So it's much more like little usable things, I guess. But they all go together. Like I think it's just about the person that channels it down. So if human design speaks to me, that's not better or worse than using an astrologer or a Reiki person or whatever. It's just like the chart speaks to me and something else could speak to I think it's all like just one beautiful soup.
Love it.
Have you seen like connections between people's, I guess, charts, but like you've done readings for people all over the world, all different generations, different genders, different races. Like, is there kind of a connection or like a vibration between generations that you see as kind of like universal?
Well, one of the things that's happening at the moment is that we are, there are fewer and fewer manifestors being born. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, fewer manifestors being born and more projectors being born, because us as a generation are people that, so in human design in 2027 is a new cycle. So that's only 9 years away. So we're really at the end of a big cycle that has, that started in 1781. So that's also why the world is feeling so crazy and so chaotic at the moment, because imagine we're like racing to the finish to like finish this karmic cycle of our like collective karma before we go into the next one. So there's a lot more projectors being born because people need guidance and tweaking and systems and efficiency and seers more than ever before. And then manifestors are a dying breed because manifestors are the people that really like initiate and have the ability to like create movements and get things started for the rest of us. But we need fewer and fewer of them because of globalization now. Each manifestor can reach so many more people. So it's all about like the dynamics of like what each generation needs, that the numbers kind of like tweak and change. But what I have found is that, for example, I wrote about this recently, that, you know, for example, there's a lot of generators and manifesting generators in the Western world. And that's so much about becoming okay with your own physical desires, like that visceral desire, and not judging that as being like less than the intellect, but actually better than the intellect, because your desires are like showing you where to go. Whereas like, for example, in South America, people are kind of karmically okay with desire. Like it's in their culture, like desire is a good thing. So they don't have as many generators and manifesting generators as we have, because they just don't need to learn that lesson of like honoring their own like physical desires. Whereas, you know, here and in Europe, people need a little bit more of that healing.
And what are the types?
So you have manifestors, which Justin is. Then you have generators, you have manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. Yeah. So basically the idea is that each person that chooses their energy type is 5. People, I mean, even me, I sometimes do it. I forget to say reflectors.
I know reflectors. I'm like, what is it? Do we know a reflector?
Jordan, yeah.
Jordan Younger.
Yeah, she's a reflector.
I heard that on her podcast. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it makes so much sense though, right?
So much sense.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, and also Michael Jackson was a reflector.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know who Teal Swan is?
Yeah.
She's a reflector too.
No, who's that?
Interesting.
Teal Swan is like this woman who, she's like a full on like seer. Like she'll see, like if you're drinking a glass of water, like she'll see the energy of this water and then how it's affecting your aura colors and how it's affecting you at your energy. Like she sees everything, and she basically grew up not even knowing that. She thought everyone was the same as her. So she's like a real, like everything is like transparent to her.
How does that explain? I mean, Michael's birthday was yesterday, so if we can take a moment, but like, why does that explain like parts of his personality?
Yeah.
Like, how can we connect that? I adore him, but obviously I get looks sometimes when I say that because people are like, he's whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. How can we connect?
So the thing about reflectors is that they are literally a product of their environment. So the people that they surround themselves with. It's not to take away from personal responsibility, but it's very much that if you're a reflector, you need to understand that the onus is on you to curate who you surround yourself by, because you will literally be a direct reflection of exactly what that is, where we're at as a collective. So reflectors actually belong in the middle of the tribe, showing us all how we're doing as a whole. So they're actually like, in a weird way, the wisest people. But, you know, there's nothing that like kind of ties reflectors together because they can be so vastly different, right? So it's not like, oh, I could tell that you're a reflector. It's a really hard one to do because you meet some that are like thriving. Like I met someone recently who was a reflector, and he's like volunteering for the fire service in his spare time, and then also running a hotel, and then also like doing a gazillion things. And I was like, wow, and you have so much energy, and I wonder what you are. And then we looked it up, and it was a reflector. And it's because he has like a really healthy family life, like surround himself with like great friends, great people, Yeah. Whereas like sometimes if you're a reflector and you're not feeling well, it's because your system is literally saying this is the flaw that we have, or this is how we're doing as a collective.
Yeah. If you're famous and you're a reflector, I would think it'd be hard to kind of curate who's around you. Because obviously, I mean, most of the people around you are being paid to be around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really
and like
hard.
First and foremost, they have to be good at their job, not necessarily a good person. But that's just interesting to think about.
Sandra Bullock is one.
Oh,
I'm curious how she does it, because I'm always like, she seems to like really have it nailed.
Have it together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that name in so long.
I know.
Okay, so that's
her,
reflectors. And then what's manifest generators?
Manifesting generators
Manifesting.
So the manifesting generators are like they're like the energizer bunnies. They're like the great achievers, because since they're so multi-passionate as people, they're meant to basically conquer more. It's like, as a soul, you sort of said, I'm gonna have more lives in one life than most people do. So you're supposed to kind of like pivot and change so much more than average people do, because they really are like the square pegs in the round hole, where they're like interested in so many things, and their life is never going to be this linear thing where you like become a singer and you like perfect that craft. It's like they're like the multi hyphenates. You know what I mean? They're like want to do so many things, and they can do so many things. So the manifesting generators are people who basically need to understand that need to be all over the place is actually working for them and not against them, like the world tells them. Yeah. So it's really interesting, because there's so much stigma against like, oh, don't quit while you're ahead. You have to finish what you start. You have to, whereas actually for manifesting generators, like if you start a business, then 8 months later, you're like, oh, this is really like contracting my energy. Great. It just means that you picked up that skill or lesson or whatever you needed to pick up. Now life is trying to move you on to the next thing. So why are we like stubbornly trying to make them like stick themselves in the ground if they got what they needed to already? We just don't know what that is, because we're not them. How do you, like, if I'm a MG, but like how do you, and I relate to that, but sometimes I feel, and to the outside person, they'll say, oh my God, you're doing so many things. How do you do it? How do you do it? And I'm like, how do I do that? How do I do all of those things and feel fulfilled, rather than just like skimming the surface of them? Because I want to go deeper into all of them. How do you recommend a MG does that? So really with you, it's sort of trusting that you will go further in, but you don't have to strategize about how you're going to do that. Okay. I had a look at your chart this morning. That's why this isn't necessarily the case for all manifesting generators, but with you, there is a conditioning that there has to be a sense of strategy there, whereas it doesn't. It's just by the factor of like how much time you'll be in something is you will get deeper, right? Okay. So it's about trusting that you'll just get there eventually, as long as something continues to light you up. Okay. And if it doesn't, then that's when you need to kind of like, always just be reassessing as you go along, of like checking in with your gut. Like, is this still expanding me, or is it contractive energy? That's a good one. Yeah.
So it's a matter of time, not strategy.
Cool. Yeah. Which is really interesting, because so much
that's a good one.
So much of our conditioning is about what's your strategy, and you have to have control over like the future and the guarantees and this and that.
Yeah, my dad said to me the other day, he's like, just be careful about how many things you do. And I was like, I was like, I hear you. Yeah. I hear you. It's mainly just a concern as a parent. Like,
aren't you trying to do less though?
I'm like, in a way, but like, I just have, I guess I was explaining to him all the things I want to do too. Like, oh, I want to write this. We have the podcast. I want to, I'm working with someone to do this. I'm like kind of sharing some projects that I have that I want to bring to life. And he's like, just be careful about how many things you do. And it's difficult. It's just interesting.
People who aren't MGs or who are like super conditioned MGs will never really understand. And it's actually with your life that you show people what's possible. So think about Angelina Jolie, who's like producing, directing, adopting, writing, traveling, 6 kids, like all over the place. But like, because she doesn't see that as all over the place and no one else does. Yeah. So people are like, oh, that makes sense in her. And like the same with Jessica Alba, who has like a diaper line and is an actress. People are like, no one questions that, because she doesn't question. Like, there's no part of her that's like still in that conditioning. So she's like, people are like, she's amazing. But it's really interesting with MGs, because basically, when you're doing something that you love, it gives you more energy. So whenever you feel like you have a drain, then it's time to look at not only in the career space, but where else in your life, because it's all one big battery. Like, what else is maybe draining you? Like, are you still saying yes to something that you don't feel so expanded by out of like duty or any of that heavy stuff. Because you're like meant to be light and playful and like free.
Yeah, I feel that.
Who's not meant to be light and playful and free?
Well, it's interesting because yes, everyone in a way is meant to be light and we're all supposed to be free. But I have an issue sometimes with human design because of the semantics, because there's no way to describe like, oh, I say, for example, like projectors are really light beings. And then everyone's like, oh, isn't everyone a light being? And I'm like, well, there's no way to, words sometimes don't always, you don't want to be excluding people. But a manifesting energy, an MG energy is very sort of like dynamic and all over the place. So I guess maybe that's but then people have like negative connotations with what it means to be all over the place. So then you have to go back to playful and then people go, oh, it's confusing.
I know what you mean.
But you're right.
I know what you mean.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Veggie Grill.
So you guys, I am having my family come to California for Thanksgiving.
Woohoo!
So that means mom, dad, who are divorced, we still do holidays together, Justin, and my sister. And I'm the only vegan, vegetarian one in the family. But I am going to make an amazing meal, or have Veggie Grill help me make an amazing meal for the holidays that non-vegans, non-vegetarians will also love.
Yeah, they appeal to non-vegans for sure. The taste is so incredible. They season it so well. The options are endless. Anytime I go into Veggie Grill, like anything I want, salad, bowl, anything, they have it. So for the holiday time, Veggie Grill has their holiday feast. So for $74.95, you can feed 4 adults, and the feast is amazing. It includes a stuffed holiday roast, cornbread stuffing, green bean casserole, mashed yams, the cauli mashed potatoes, which are
bomb. Those are my
favorite, porcini gravy and cranberry sauce, plus additional sides. So honestly, this feast is great for both vegans and non-vegans. We love it so much. And let us know. Tag us if you go to Veggie Grill, whether during the holidays or not. We love them. It's been a lifesaver on the tour.
I can't wait. So what I'm going to do is just place my order online at veggiegrill.com/holidays, and then I'll pick it up at the location that's closest to me. And then it's all ready. All I've got to do is heat it up, and we are good to go for this holidays.
This episode is also brought to you by BarkBox. This is the company that celebrates the connection you have with your dog, which I know, knowing our community, because we just had someone tag their dog the other day with almost 30. They were howling when our intro song came on, which was so sweet.
Too much. It was the greatest
of all time. So BarkBox creates a monthly curation. It's a gift that both you and your dog can enjoy. And you can choose between plans of 1 month, 6, 12 months. They ship anywhere in the US and Canada. Yes, anywhere, which is awesome. And you get them right away to your doorstep, the 15th of each month. So my mom called me recently, not to be a downer, but my dog is kind of on his way out, probably in the next like 3 or 4 months. And so immediately, as if it was fate, I was like, I want to start sending him BarkBox every month so that he could just have the dopest toys and treats so that he can live just this really great quality of life till the end. And you can do this for friends who have dogs. If you don't have a dog, it's just such a thoughtful gift, because dogs mean so much to their owners, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
It's the best. So if you'd like to try BarkBox, you'll get a free month if you sign up for a 6 or 12 month package when you go to barkbox.com/almost30. So a free extra month of BarkBox. You can visit barkbox.com/almost30 when you subscribe to a 6 or 12 month plan.
So there's manifesting generator, reflector, and then projector.
Yeah. And generators.
Or generator.
Yeah.
We talked about generator.
Generators are the people that are supposed to be sort of like, their main thing that they do on this planet is like make other people happy. So it doesn't matter how they do it. Like each one has a calling. So like Oprah, her calling is Oprah's
She's a generator?
calling. But really what she's doing energetically underneath it is like lifting everyone else up.
Yeah.
It's like that magnetic sparkly thing. The same with Jennifer Lopez, Beyonce, Meghan Markle, they're all like generators. So they're just here to like, you just magnetize towards them because when they're happy and they're lit up themselves, people just like love their energy. So that's like generators. Yeah. You know who is one who I think is such a good example is Sophie Jaffe.
Oh,
she's like very typical like generator. I like love watching her stories because I'm like, this is just like a generator living her design.
Damn, that's so true. She is magnetic.
Right?
Yeah, girl is magnetic as fuck.
Yeah.
Love her.
She's fab.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Then projectors. Me, you,
Lacey.
and Milana.
What a crew.
Yeah.
Makes me happy.
So Angels. Projectors are the people that see something really clearly that other people can't necessarily see, because we don't have our own energy. We don't have our own battery that's kind of like constantly like fueling us. But because we don't have that battery, we're not mired by our own energy. So we can see other people's energy really clearly. So a projector is really good at seeing something in one niche area. And it can be systems, it can be efficiency, it can be tweaks that you need to make, it can be guiding. It's always about guiding other people's energy rather than about what you're doing yourself. So projectors are sort of like the guides, helping people use their energy the best. I always like to say they're kind of like the birds that are sitting up on the trees. And sometimes they get FOMO about not being a lion or a tiger who can just like roll around in the mud and like do fun stuff like that in the same energized way. But everyone needs the bird up on the tree to help them see their way through the forest. So it's like, it's a win-win, right? Like if everyone is acting like the jungle animal that they are. So as a projector, you need to stay up on that branch and use your energy properly and help guide other people's energy.
Why can't they work more than 3 hours a day?
Because they're non-energy beings. Which means that when I'm with other people, they power me up. That's where I get my energy from. You don't produce your own sustainable, measurable energy on your own. So you get powered up by other people. And what it means is that when you're with generators or MGs or manifestors or other projectors sometimes too, depending on your chart, those people, it's like you can be like super on and super energized, like even more than what you would consider like a base level. But that's because you're basically magnifying the energy of what's around you. But if you try and do that for such a long time and it's not really your energy to begin with, you're going to burn out, which is why you need to kind of like carefully expose yourself at the right times to energy and then kind of like pull away again. Because otherwise you will burn yourself out.
I see that. You're so good about like one-on-one with people and spending time. It's like, like your little fuel.
I definitely feel like that's like, I think of that as being extroverted too. That I definitely have always gotten energy from people. I always love to be around people. I never want to be alone. Not even for like a codependent reason, just for that reason. Because when I'm alone, I'm just kind of blank.
It's so interesting because recently, exactly, it's a blankness,
it's
right?
Just like,
I wish people could see what you just did with your
literally. I'm just like, I just sat here and I did blink, blink.
It's the same with me though. And for such a long time, this is a really interesting part of my conditioning is that I thought it's good to be someone who can be by yourself. And it's better to be an introvert because that's also got like a certain conditioning to it. Like, oh, if you're just like, there's almost like
if you're able to be alone, then you can.
Yeah. And it was actually only this summer where I literally was around people for 6 weeks nonstop. And then I was like, shit, like exactly the same as you. Like it's obvious. Like I know intellectually that projectors are not really supposed to be, you know, we do get fueled by other people. So we're supposed to be exposing ourselves way more. So then why put value on like, oh, being by yourself is so great. And you need to, of course we need to recharge and things like, you know, if you can only be around people for a certain amount of time, but that's where we get our energy from. So we need to celebrate that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about your reading with me like so often too.
Really?
Yeah. It's been so impactful. You said that I like to be in a relationship, a committed relationship. That's when I operate most effectively, which is true. I've been in a relationship like my whole life, different ones. And then about me loving my body. That's like in my soul contract. And then about being strategic and kind of being in and out of things, kind of like always seeing things as they are. And then like, that's how I am at parties. It's like I go into a party and I have fun, but then when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I don't see, there's situations where I just see what I'm going to get out of it or what I'm going to give. And then once it's done, I'm out.
So smart.
with everything, projects, people, relationships, for the most part, like not relationships, but okay. So how could people get their readings?
So what I started doing was just doing one-on-one readings for people. And then it just got so crazy because I can only do 3 readings a day as a projector. Like if I try to do more, my head will like spin off my body. So I basically created on my website a place where people can, let's say, for example, you just know your energy type. You can download like a half-hour reading from me about what it is just to use that energy type. And then the next thing that we rolled out was how to eat for your energy type. And then next month,
so smart.
I know, dude, the eating thing's crazy.
And then next month, we're rolling out how you digest life the best and like where you're supposed to be living and how you're supposed to be eating and how you're supposed to be literally taking in life. So you'll also be able to get like a personalized. Do you guys want to see yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck
okay,
yeah.
great.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. I just got goosebumps about like these new rollouts.
And then
That's
obviously
genius.
I want to do like parenting and work and all those things, but food was like the main thing that people wanted to know. So we started with that.
Parenting's a good one.
Yeah. My favorite readings is to do people's kids because the guy who started human design, who founded human design, Ra Uruhu, he always said to people in his lectures, he was always like, it's great for you guys, like that you're coming to this information, but who it's really for is the people who are still like not yet born. Because imagine how it would be to be raised without any wrong conditioning. Like if your parents would know you from the beginning.
Oh my God.
And
that excites me. Don't let me forget that when I have my little boy.
We have so much like deconditioning to do. Like we have like 30 years of deconditioning. Whereas if you don't have any of that, you can just whoosh, like so quick, which would just be fab. Yeah. The parenting thing is really interesting.
I'm going to have you in the delivery room, Jenna.
I'm really needle and blood phobic. Yeah, I was going to say,
literally,
drop me in later, please.
Not my baby.
Like, so you're going to learn how to like technically deliver a baby,
and then healers in the room delivering my child. Like, do you want to give it to Justin? We're like, no, not yet.
That's so funny. Okay, so if I'm looking at yours really quick, what it says is that you are somebody who needs stimulation to digest life. So what that means is that let's talk about just digesting food, but we're literally digesting everything all the time.
Yeah.
Because your system is very like relaxed and like stimulus free naturally. In order to receive a stimulus from the outside world, you need to almost like stimulate yourself a bit more. So like, for example, my sister's this one and she has like, always since she was a kid, she was like, would do like little movements before she ate or be like, like that kind of thing, or like be humming or be like whatever. So it's always like you people are people that always need to be like creating a bit of like noise or movement or something to just like receive something like where it's at. So those are those people like, it's like very guttural sounds,
Totally.
you know? And then the other thing with you is that you are what's called a mountains person. Mountains people are people who
sounds sexy.
Mountains people are people who basically your viewpoint that is like valued by the rest of us is something that's very sort of like detached and from above and seeing things like not super sort of like involved and like integrated in things. So it's always that you, the way that you need to inform your viewpoint is always by living in a way that is like sort of above everything else. So literally you're always best when you're on the top floor of a building, high cars, anything that's basically like reinforcing that you're sort of like a little bit higher rather than like down in the action. So
that's interesting.
That's always
on the podium.
On the podium, baby.
That's how she got on the podium. Rocking it.
Absolutely. And then your strongest sense in the world, the sense that you interact with the world in, both in giving and receiving, is in feelings. So feelings is about, not having touch, taste, smell be your prominent sense, but actually about how, you can walk into the room and like really take the room in and feel what's going on in the room and that stuff. What that does mean though, is that you have to be really careful with your exposure to EMFs and electronics and things.
Just thinking about that yesterday, I swear.
Really?
I was thinking about how that could be draining us.
Yes.
So even eating near a fridge is a bad idea.
Wow.
Eating what?
Near a fridge.
Near a fridge.
Oh, okay.
So if your aura is about 3 feet around you, you want to make sure that you have nothing that's kind of electronic within 3 feet of you when you're eating, sleeping.
Yeah, I've done a detox in my bedroom and it's felt great.
Wow.
It's felt really, really good. I'm just trying to think. Yeah. I think about like the Wi-Fi and shit. I should put it on like a timer.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And then think about basically, because it's just, if you're really receptive to it, then it's preventing your, your sort of like energy from being clear to receive like the things that you're supposed to be receiving, which, for you is so much about how things just like make sense to you straight away sometimes, even if you can't explain why.
Yes.
And that's going to happen less if you have too many EMFs coming into your system.
Wow.
So it's like things just like, sometimes you can't explain why you're like, oh yeah, I get that. Or like, that makes total sense to me. And people go, yeah, but why? Or explain it or rationalize it. And you can't always.
Yep.
That's like your
story of my life.
Really? Yeah. That's your like superpower. You want to, again, like it's shitting in your pool to have EMFs there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I got to get Luke's story over here.
I know, to set that up.
Set it all up for me. I literally was watching him on a plane the other day. He had pants that like deterred any EMF. It was crazy. I was like, what the fuck is going on? He's
How does he do? Although Lacey and I were talking about this the other day, and actually,
she's another one that does all that, which is cool.
But we were also saying, like, couldn't you just like in your mind, like block them as well?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because we are like,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's like a really good one.
Because like if I have to go through, sometimes when you request a pat down in the airport and then they're like, where's the woman's going to be 15 minutes? And you're like, shit, I have to catch a flight. I go in that little machine and I just like visualize it just not coming into my aura.
I love that.
Like,
that's so smart.
Why not?
That's so smart.
But so you can do like mind
because we don't know what
protection
that stuff is doing.
Literally.
I know. And now New York, when we were in New York, someone reminded us, but that New York is 5G now.
What does that mean?
So there's like Wi-Fi or whatever in like underground and everywhere. And it's like, I kind of want to look into it more, but it's...
What are the G's?
I don't know.
Like what's 4G? What's 5G?
But New York, because now you can be on your cell phone in the subway and you get service everywhere, which is like, why do we get service everywhere now?
I have a theory that water blocks Wi-Fi though.
Oh, I like that.
What you should know about 5G. We're hearing about it.
Going into a whole
5th generator.
Okay. Oh, so it's about generators.
Speed, I guess. It's 20 times faster than 4G.
Wow.
It has a huge bandwidth capacity. You know what I was thinking about with aliens is that I know I want to talk about aliens too. I was thinking about how, so a lot of people talk about the government, like things like Alexa recording information or even like Facebook.
She just turned on.
Shut up. Shut up. Even like Facebook. So like people with Facebook has such data on us and they could technically sell the data in certain ways and they do. Well, I was thinking about with aliens and like computers are like courts. And aliens have like access to them. Like think about all the data and information. If we are a science experiment, sometimes aliens say we're science experiments, or sometimes alien theorists say that we are a science experiment. Then they have so much data and information on us now that we use the internet and now that we're on the computer all the time. I was laying down the other day thinking about the world before the internet.
I know. We're the last generation that will remember.
I know.
Wow. That is so true.
That's scary.
So
that
true.
Freaks me out.
Yellow pages.
I mean, our whole life is on the internet.
I remember when I used to print out the MapQuest directions, but the internet was around. It's just like didn't have cell phones.
You'd be like, you'd get I had a little GPS Garmin.
Oh my God, the Garmin.
Yeah, I had it
my dad thought it was the coolest thing
in Chicago. Got robbed that night. It was sweet. They like smashed my window in my car and stole my Garmin.
Wow.
Shit. It was actually my boyfriend's at the time's Garmin. Oops. Sorry.
Things are moving so quick though. It's scary.
I know. It's scary. It's just interesting.
So what were you saying about the aliens in the court? What's the courts?
Oh, I was just thinking about the amount of data and information that they have on us because we use the internet and computers. And like internets or computers are essentially courts. Courts, all the data and information is imprinted on quartz. Yeah, quartz crystal.
I didn't know that.
Is in chips.
Wow.
So like, you know, when you program a crystal, so you program a crystal like in a computer. Isn't that fucking crazy?
Wow.
And in the pyramids in Egypt, it's like all fucking quartz.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So the amount of information that they have about the human race now that the internet exists, everything.
Yeah.
Emotions, groups, like, I mean.
So crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so it's a danger if maybe aliens get hold of this.
No. I don't think it's dangerous. I mean, I think they have it, and like, what are they going to do with it? I mean, they, you know, I don't know if they wanted to hurt us, they would. Right?
I often think about like the people that invented, you know, inventing a computer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they not an alien, but like have kind of like this, portal within themselves to kind of receive information that could be coming in about how to make that like kind of the direction to go.
Yeah. They have episodes on Ancient Aliens about people like that.
I know.
I kind of believe that all of us are, like, you as a consciousness are connected to an alien consciousness, and then you also are connected to like a seventh dimension consciousness, and it's all the same time. So the fact that we think it's the other, it kind of isn't. It's just a different viewpoint on what our energy is. I don't know. I kind of feel like everyone can relate to being, I don't know, a queen in a previous life. And why is that? Because like we don't reincarnate like such a linear way. Yeah. We're all queens, and we're all the opposite, and the everything else as well. I don't know. I just feel like an alien isn't anything else that I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See what you mean.
It's just a different expression of,
it's just
of your
of God.
Totally.
Or the universe, whatever you want to
call it. Totally.
I don't know.
Well, an alien's essentially anything that's not an earth being. So also they found recently, what are those little things that live in the ocean? Plankton? They found, did you hear about it?
No, but the octopus too. They think octopus are like aliens.
Yeah. But they found plankton on a spaceship outside of Mars. On their the front window.
Cool.
So that basically means that these plankton could have came from a meteor, and then the meteor came down to Earth, and the plankton, like, I don't know. It was just basically talking about how different animals could travel different ways, but it's like there's no really excuse for how a plankton would be on like a window of a spaceship.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? And they were alive.
Wow.
Isn't that bizarre?
So
there's
cool.
a lot happening.
That's so cool.
It's so amazing that there's so little that we like understand on the spectrum of it all. Like,
but after watching Ancient Aliens, I'm like, there's some people here that know a lot more.
There's some people here that know a lot. That's really happening.
A lot more.
I mean, the people are the smartest people ever on that show.
Well, those people, but then like, you know, like top secret governmental shit, government shit, where like, you know.
Is this episode going to get closed down?
LOL. Yeah, it's like freedom of speech, bitch. Literally.
Yeah. It's so fascinating though, because I think by the time we finish here, we're going to know so much more already.
I know. That's why I'm like excited to die.
But also, don't you think that we'll only receive a new truth, when we as a collective are ready? So like,
and sometimes I'm like, I'll probably get reincarnated to a snail, and then I won't know shit. You know,
or you'll know everything.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The trees are smarter than us, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%.
Yeah. Have you read that book? The Hidden Life of Trees. It's so fascinating. Cool. It's so fascinating. Like, if one tree doesn't have enough water and there's like a ton of trees around it, the trees through the networks will like send that tree like water.
That makes me
or
cry.
if isn't that crazy? Or if like an animal starts eating a tree, then the other side of the tree will start producing more like antibodies and things that will like make the animal be sick, because it knows that it's being eaten, and obviously trees want to protect themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's just like the surface of that book. It's like absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
There was a squirrel that looked at me this morning, and I was like, wow, you know a lot more than me.
Totally.
I got a look. I was like, hello.
I know. Like,
it was crazy. I was like, what do you want to say?
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Hidden life of trees.
Hidden life of trees. Everything is intelligent though. Everything. You know, that thing about the water. Who was that guy?
Hashimoto or something. Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to see if this works. So I cut an apple one day with a ceramic knife, so there would be no oxidation. And I separated the same apple half and half, and I spoke to one really nicely for 30 days and really badly for 30 days. And everyone can do this. And the one I spoke to well was like in pristine condition, and the other one rotted really fast. Yeah.
I mean, think about your body's water. So every time you're having these thoughts, did you think it or say it?
Both.
So every time you're having these thoughts in your body, which is your body's a body of water, and your body reacts to that. And you know what I mean? So if you think I am sick, or I am sad, or I am fat, or I am ugly, blah, 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 blah.
It becomes true.
Emoto. E-M-O-T-O.
Wait, we didn't do, before we get to questions.
Oh, yeah. What were we talking about? Eating?
Digestion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because your strongest sense is your feelings. So that's about the same thing that I was saying to
we relate on that,
Lindsey, about the EMFs and the being careful of what comes in.
Yeah.
But with you, it's not necessarily how I was saying to Lindsey that for her main thing is about how things just make sense to her and that kind of stuff. For you, it's actually sort of the opposite, where it's like you don't want things to be like clogging, like you don't want to be overthinking about things, and you don't want to be overstimulated. So because there's so much in your chart that is like emptiness, and because you're very open to other people's emotions, that's the thing that's going to make you wise. And so you don't want like other things that are competing with like you kind of putting your finger on the pulse of like where we're at as people, and what we're feeling as people. So because you're a feelings person, you're like, what are we feeling? That's like the preoccupation of your sense, is like, what are we all feeling? What's going on here? What's going on in this room? And so you don't want, your feeling sense to be like overburdened by too many other things, which is the EMFs and things. So it's interesting how you can have the same thing in a chart, but it expresses itself in a completely different way, depending on the other ins and outs of what's going on. With you, you're actually very lucky because you're one of the very few people who it's actually very good for you to eat in restaurants and public places and those kind of things, because the way that you take in...
That probably is actually.
Really?
So when I'm alone, it's real naughty.
There you go.
It's real naughty.
So it actually serves you really well to be with people when you're eating, and also have like the visual that you're also taking in. Because think about when you're eating, it's the most concrete source of information you're putting inside your physical body, right? It's like a much more concrete than a thought or a whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or information. But you can use that to your advantage, because when you're taking in food, you're also really taking in your whole environment, everything that's going on. And so for you, basically when you're eating, it's like almost like a beautiful practice where you're also really concretizing your current experience. So you being out in a restaurant and really tapping into what people are feeling and where we're at as people, when you're eating, that's what you're doing in like a 10x kind of way. You know what I mean? You're doing it like even more than you would be just doing like sitting and watching. So, X.
10x.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's really like solidifying in you your wisdom. So eating has to become this like really like sacred ritual where it's like, wow, this is really informing me on like my whole environment.
Wow.
And the fact that I'm eating at the same time means I'm very open and receptive. So I'm taking in everything.
That's powerful.
And then you are also what we call a markets person. And markets people are people that need to live where the exchange is happening, where everything is going on, like right in the thick of the action, basically, because it's about you witnessing like what are people doing? How are people interacting and things? So the worst place for you to be living would be like somewhere that was away from a high street or, up in the mountains away from people and things, because you need to be in the thick of it, but not you yourself making the thick of it happen, but just you're kind of like roaming around in it. Does that make sense? So you're not like the one that's like getting your elbows dirty, but you're just like, almost it's like a very passive, like sitting, observing, watching, that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Again, because that's informing your point of view on the world that you're supposed to be having.
Wow.
Yeah.
Markets person. I love that.
You're a markets person. Yeah.
Well, it also gives me energy.
Markets and a mountains person.
Markets and a mountains.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, it's not so literal. I don't like the words because like I'm, for example, a caves person and caves just sounds like horrible. Or like there's like valleys.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, you know, but it's not like literal caves or literal mountains. It's just about the way that you set up your environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it changes your whole perspective on things. It's really interesting.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Away.
Away. Lindsey and I have been away on tour, and we roll around with our Away luggage, baby.
It's hilarious. We're like a little pod of Away fans.
Yeah, we just roll around with our Aways. But it's so nice because a lot of times when we travel, I will lose charge for either my phone or whatever. And it is major that Away has the portable charger just in the suitcase.
Yeah, Away was inspired by true travel stories, which is nice. So they asked like thousands of people, what ticks you off about travel? What do you never prepare for? Like just all of the questions that are important, how they pack, why they travel. So they've created this perfect luggage that is designed to be resilient, resourceful, and essential to the way that you travel today. And it's really made our life so much easier. So much easier.
So much easier.
You can sit on it.
Yeah, we sit on it. It's just stylish, functional, easy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's just, I feel more adult with a clean, nice luggage.
Yeah, such a good point. Such a good point. They're made with, if you care, I care actually. I'm geeky about this stuff, but premium German polycarbonate, which is unrivaled in strength. So, you know, when they're knocking around these luggage pieces back behind the curtains, your stuff is going to be protected, just so you know. So for our listeners, for $20 off a suitcase, you can visit awaytravel.com/almost30 and use our code almost30 during checkout. So that's $20 off a suitcase. awaytravel.com/almost30 and use the code almost30.
This episode is also brought to you by
Robinhood. So guys, I'm so excited about this partner. It makes me feel like a true adult. A few years ago, Justin was like, you have to check out this app. It's called Robinhood. And I was like, he never usually says that. So I was interested. So I've actually been using Robinhood for a few years now. And Robinhood is an investing app. So it lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and crypto as well, commission free. So that's what's really special and important about them is that it's commission free, whereas brokerage firms could do $10 for every trade or various amounts, basically taking money from you when you want to be making money. So a few years ago when I got the app, I started to buy some random stocks that I just got pulled to or companies that I was interested in. And now I have my stocks and I'm playing the market on my Robinhood app. So
I'm playing the market.
I know I'm playing the market. I'm really rich. So it makes it really easy. And it really just, the app is so easy to use. There's a great user experience. So if anyone wants to get into investing and doesn't know where to start, this is a great place.
Yeah. And I don't know a lot about this space, so this app is perfect. It's super user-friendly for those that are just starting out, buying and trading stocks. And they let you view stock collections. So you can, there's like categories, so entertainment, social media, like for female CEOs, like, you know, it's really interesting how they do it and makes it very digestible and fun to do. So for our listeners, Robinhood is giving a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Sign up at almost30.robinhood.com. That's almost30.robinhood.com. We're just really excited to share this tool with you. So join the secret Facebook group. Let us know what you're trading, what you're buying, and if you like it.
We're already talking about investing in the group. So this is going to be a perfect place. And this is basically the answer to finding a new way to learn by doing and to really start get our female finances in order.
Amen.
Okay, dogs. Questions from the group. Secret Almost 30 podcast group. I hope this means Jenna Zoe is coming back on. Is it possible to read your own charts if we can't get readings with Jenna?
Yes. You can do two things. You can look at your chart and then go ahead and take every piece of information and go and Google that and kind of put together something from what you've read. But also what I started to, the reason why I started to provide what I provide on my website is because a lot of the human design information on the internet can be quite damning and quite literal and doesn't always mean anything in isolation because it has to be put together as part of your whole chart. So what you could also do is, if you know your energy type, if you know your birthday, birth time, that's why I'm trying to really come up with some resources that are going to help people understand their own charts without having a reading with me.
Love that. What are the arrows? What do the arrows and the blocks or arrows and gates mean?
So gates are basically, this is really fascinating because the gates come from the I Ching, which is the Chinese system that Confucius talked about thousands of years ago. And it's, have you heard of a book called The Way? It's like an ancient Chinese book. Anyway, it talks about the I Ching, and in the I Ching, there's like 64 different verses of a poem basically. But the poem doesn't mean anything. It's like, it does mean things, but when you look at it, it will literally say like the lion stands on the mountain, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? But there's like so much meaning, and it's been dissected by like, so many people in the past. And so what's really fascinating is that 64 verses correspond to 64 different energies that are identified to be available to us on this planet. And what they didn't know back then that they know now is that we have 64 codons of our DNA. And each one of those energies corresponds exactly with that genetic code, that little strand of the DNA. And so it's really fascinating because each gate is about whether you have that gene expressed in you or not. And so it's actually like really based in your like genetic expression as well. Like when you look at a human design chart, which is fascinating. So that's what the gates are. The arrows, there's so much contained in the arrows. It's like ridiculous. But in general, what it means is that when arrows are pointing to the left, you have a more proactive quality in you. And when an arrow is pointing to the right, you have like the more passive expression of the arrows. So for example, the bottom right-hand arrow, which all three of us actually have pointing to the right, means that we are not supposed to be strategic people. So having a strategy for life doesn't work for us. And also that we are non-specific manifestors. So we manifest in a non-specific way, which is not about having a specific list or getting down to the detail of what it is you want. For example, Lacey, she's a specific manifestor. So it works really well for her when she's like, I want this kind of place with these kind of walls and whatever. Whereas like the three of us would have to be much more like, you know what, whatever's right for me, whatever's going to expand me. And I can say like I was saying to you before we started, like I want to live somewhere else. If I'm supposed to live somewhere else, like show me the way. And then life rearranged itself that I might have to move to Monaco. I never made a list to live in Monaco. I didn't have a clue where I wanted to live. And that's kind of what's come forward for me. So the three of us, that's how we would kind of like work best, because it's a much more passive way of being rather than being strategic. So the arrows talk about how passive you are. And the reason why they point to the right is because in the future, we're all moving towards passivity. So in that way, we're beings from the future.
Yes, we are. Aliens. What is one resource this is from Alex. What is one resource you'd recommend for someone that wants to learn how to read charts?
The book Human Design by Ra Uru and Linda Bunnell.
He sounds like a badass.
Book. Yeah, he is a badass.
Ra Uru.
Mm-hmm. He is a manifestor.
I'm from Ohio.
What?
I'm from Ohio. I don't know how to say anything right.
He's a manifestor.
He's a manifestor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This was another thing. This was a question that actually got a lot of votes. Career expanders for projectors.
This is actually the most difficult question to answer.
I can see that.
And I'll tell you why. Because there's not a lot of projectors that are successful doing it the projector way. Or if they are, they're not talking about it the proper way, because right now we revere people that say, oh, it was so hard. Lacey
now she's doing it.
Yeah.
Now she's doing it projector way.
She's got her team doing.
She wasn't before, but now she is.
Yeah. That's a great one. The only one I can think of, actually.
And so that means that she's living balanced, only working 3 hours a day, being strategic, being a high level, created systems that allow her to.
So what she sees really clearly is obviously the energetics of manifestation, and she's in her lane. And the way that she makes herself successful is by continuously experimenting with that and exploring that. And so her time is not about working, because her time is about, she has to keep feeding that niche that she sees and keep feeding the way that, her wisdom. So that's why she shouldn't be working more than 3 hours a day. But there's a lot of projectors that, when you get to the top and let's say you get interviewed by people or whatever, it's so, for everyone actually in our culture, it's like, oh, it's such a grind and it was so hard and it was so this and it was so that. And it's very like, I wish there were more people saying it wasn't easy. Of course it had challenges, but it wasn't this thing where it's like portrayed like no one else can get there either. You know, I wish everyone could say, I got successful, but everyone else can do it too. And it's not as difficult as we paint it as a society. Like it's just, you have to be this more special person if you become successful, or, make it.
The richer you get, the better person you are. Any reflector specific resources beside what she's already purchased on your site?
The Balance Blonde episode that I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good one, because it was like 2 hours long and it was all about what it is to be a reflector.
Yeah. It was fascinating.
So, yeah.
And then on her website. And
I have a question about human design and ancestry. Like, is there a connection?
Good one.
In terms of,
I don't know. I'm just like, you mentioned earlier on in our conversation about your ancestors and like just in passing, but is there any connection between like lineage and our MGs more apt to have two projectors as parents? You know what I'm saying? Are there
That's really interesting.
Patterns there?
Well, it's funny because part of our conditioning is like we think so much as just like our satellite family, but really what we are is one big family that has 64 different versions of lessons to carry, and obviously not one person could do all of that correction. So we've like shattered one person into 7 billion pieces, and we all carry like different fractures of that same karma. And so if you look at, for example, my parents' chart, there's certain things that I share in common with them that I have to heal. But then there's also certain things that are all my own, but they're not. Of course, someone else in my ancestry, if I go far enough back, would have had them too. But it's also so much about like, we all need each other to finish this karma. So there is an ancestral thing there where it's much more about generations, because like whatever we come back as, this generation is a factor of what the previous generation hasn't done.
That's the truth. That is the truth. Okay.
So
what's next for you, sweet one? Are you writing a book?
No, but you're like the third person that's asked me in like 2 days.
Yeah.
I think it will be fun.
Yeah.
Mostly
because,
of work. Well, nowadays you can just dictate it, right? And you just like voice record yourself and then like have someone paraphrase it or something. Yeah. But I'm starting to do more sort of events, like kind of speaking about human design, more interactive. Because I'm a projector, I can't really like stand on a stage and kind of preach about it. But I found it works really well when there's someone else to kind of bounce off and things. So even in all my online videos and things, there's someone asking me something to like pull something out of me. Otherwise it just kind of flatlines. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Because we work
I actually find that really hard. Like this is why I like interviewing people, because it's easy for me to react. I like reacting. It's hard to be like
coming up with like a
I
full
can't even start right now. I'm like, I can start for sometimes, but I feel much more comfortable reacting and being asked questions, you know, than like I do.
Totally.
Well, it also makes so much sense why you guys have each other though too, because if you are like on a stage, you're just like bouncing off each other, and then
usually
that helps you a lot.
Yes.
Right?
Oh my God, so much. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So I always find that projectors, because we have that thing of, we have to be invited.
Yes.
It's very difficult to just start talking and just talk nonstop, because what happens is then it comes across as preachy or knowing better, or people go, who does she think she is? That kind of stuff. Because it's just not the way we're supposed to be exchanging. It's not like you're supposed to be talking to a crowd in an impersonal way. So everything in terms of like the way that I'm doing talks and things with people is always with somebody else. Just because it just does get further that way, because projectors, the sort of what we call the not self is about, projectors always think that they know best. And that's something that we have to kind of correct in ourselves. So you don't want to be doing anything in your life that's reaffirming that you know best, basically. You want to be avoiding all of that stuff because that pulls you into the not self. So anytime that I kind of like see that one come up, that old like, you know, what we were kind of talking about before, like a bit of a pedestalization or anything going on, that's like deathly for us. So, and it's really interesting because actually the way that you set up your relationship can be sort of similar in the sense that for you would always want to make sure that the person you're with recognizes your wisdom and sees your wisdom so that you're not always trying to show that you know best, because you know that Justin sees you for who you are. He sees that you're wise. He sees that you're, do you know what I mean? He sees you for what
Do you?
Well, I think
sees me.
Yeah, I think in his heart, he knows you're very wise. But I think for like
really
any relationship, it's hard to be like, it's hard to admit that because like, you know, sometimes the ego just wants to be right, you know, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. If I tell him, he says, you should stop saying you should. So I'm like, you should do this, you should do that. But if I'm doing it, like I got sent like this moon juice beauty shroom, like stuff. And I was like, just using it around him. And I was like, purposely, he's like, what is that? Like, it's, this mushroom stuff for your skin. He's like, what the heck? You didn't tell me about it. I love mushrooms. I'm obsessed with mushrooms. but if I was like, hey man, you should use this on your skin. He'd be like, no, P.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
That is literally the best example.
And I'm like,
ever.
oh, you can use it or not. I don't know if you should use it.
Yeah.
He was like, let me use it. Literally. I literally got I don't know if you should use it. He's like, let me use it.
Reverse psychology.
It's reverse psychology.
Oh
Honestly.
my God, that's amazing.
But
I'm
we
like
can
practicing
never
for my children.
Yeah. And what we can never do that. We can never say you should have, you know, like I think this would work best for you, because people need to invite. It's honestly, I'm in a relationship with another projector, so it's a nightmare. When both of us are acting like the non-self, he's like pulling, like, you should wear your bikini like string higher up on your leg, and I'm like, what the F? Like, you can't tell me how to look and this and that. And I'm like, shit, he's right though. Like, I'm like, stop trying to be my gay stylist. You don't know everything. And then I'm like, shit, he knows everything.
That's hilarious. Gay stylist.
Oh man.
Yeah. Where can people connect with you?
So my website is jennazoe.com and then on Instagram, Jenna Zoe Daily. Yeah.
The best.
Get
yourself a reading.
I always feel so much better after talking to you.
I know. I love you.
Yeah.
I love you guys too. Can I just say also thank you so much, because you were the first podcast that I was ever on.
Yes, bitch.
And
you're not the first to say that.
and the one that I listen to every single week, and I learned something new.
Thank
the Dreams episode.
So Connie, you would like that. Connie's hilarious. I love her.
That episode, like,
isn't it crazy?
Changed I like think about it every single day.
Yeah,
man. Like,
it's one of those.
We need
things
to have
when you
another
hear
with
it
her.
once.
She does something else. It's called
Dream circles. No,
it's not related to dreams. It's like your soul talk. It's kind of out there. It's like related to the fabric of the universe, and it's like very intense. We'll have to get her on to talk about that.
Yeah, and then you have Akashic Records on soon.
Oh yeah, have you had yours, Rev?
No, I really want to though.
Do you know her?
No,
she actually said she's like, you've experienced a lot of lives as a woman.
Who you?
Yeah. She's like, more confirmation that me and Lindsey.
Oh,
in a past life.
Really? Because you were a guy?
In every other life. So
what?
Yeah.
First one as a girl.
No,
she's doing pretty good, huh?
Taking it to town.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Just fucking everything that walks. Just no, I'm joking.
She's really showing us women how to work it.
Yeah. Our medium Tim Braun said that told me that in a reading, and Krista just looked at me and started cracking the fuck up, because we were just like, I was like, so true.
My pants.
It's just so true.
Wow.
Because I just like, yeah.
So you guys were like, we were together. We were.
He said that there was a rainbow between us, and we've spent many lives together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like spiritual speak for you got it on.
That's spiritual speak for you got it on. Many lives together.
Cute Marvin Gaye music.
Yeah. He's like, you guys have been to the fantasy suite many times.
I love that. What is the fantasy suite? Why haven't I been?
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome to America.
Oh.
This is America.
Yeah, this is America. All right, we love you guys. Go get yourself a reading.
Yeah.
And then check out her resources online too.
Sense.
It all helps.
Yes,
we love you.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Where my fellow MGs at?
Yeah. Projectors for life.
It's funny in person when people meet us, sometimes that's what they'll tell us. And it's usually one or the other. And we're like, Team Krista, Team Lindsey. And then it just, we roll around and start fighting. We start fighting.
I just don't even really know much about the other one to even have anything even to say, but I'm such a projector, it hurts.
Yeah. Here you go.
All right. Review of the damn week. Thank you, ladies. We've got our girl from Canada, EMK456. And I know she's from Canada as well because she spelled favorite with a U.
Is that a thing? Cool.
Favorite.
Wow.
Thank you so much. So 5 stars, my favorite girls and podcast. I am so happy that I found this podcast. It is genuinely exactly what I've been looking for during these transitional years of my life. I'm 25 years old and all my friends and I talk all the time about how strange, confusing, and at times difficult this period of our lives can be, and how no one seems to talk about it or warn you. Krista and Lindsey cover such a wide range of incredible topics, and I feel like I'm just hanging out with my best friends while listening. Almost 30 always manages to put a smile on my face, get me through these tough weeks, expand my knowledge, and most importantly, help me feel less alone, navigating the mysterious territory of my 20s. They've even inspired me to start a podcast on my own with one of my best girlfriends. Ladies, I love you, and thank you for being a constant source of support and inspiration. Please come back to Toronto.
We love you too.
I mean, shit.
Wow.
Let us know if you need help with the podcast. Happy to help. We also have a podcast pro guide on the website.
Good luck. That was perfect.
That was perfect.
It actually, so my friend Kathleen just bought it.
Oh, yeah.
The other day, she's starting a podcast.
Cool.
So she said it was insanely helpful.
Yeah. So on our website, almost30podcast.com, you can buy a podcast guide. So all the steps you need, all the information you need, if you are interested in starting a podcast. And more to come on that.
More to come. Stay
More to come
tuned.
from us there.
All right. We love you. Have an amazing rest of your week into the weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.
See you soon.